Okay. I thought you said I gave him the phone. I was like, oh no, I got you.
Phones were going to be like, well, they all look alike.
Oh, that's okay.
All right. Thank you much for
Make sure it's really yours. That's always smart.
Straighten that one out.
Howdy, how are you? Good, how are you? My wife Rebecca's behind.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Give me 1 second.
He's a strategic planner. That was his job.
You were in the military too,
Yep,
right? 30 years.
30 years.
Army? How about you?
No, I was making jet engines.
All right.
You were in the service.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you, brother.
Colonel Mastriano, Senator Mastriano, Dr. Mastriano, yes, he holds a PhD. Please welcome the next governor of Pennsylvania, number 48, Doug Mastriano.
Manly nose, a good governor. That's amen in dog language. What a thrill and joy to be up here with you guys. We are blessed. We love Potter County. And let me tell you why we love you. Because in the primary, most contested primary, most contested primary since 1978, Potter County didn't dither. You guys gave us 60% of the vote in a 9-man race. Beautiful. You guys are like, so of course we're going to come to Potter County. These are our people, right? The next guy behind us was down 60 points back at 10%. I mean, you guys don't play up here in Potter. You know, you're obviously wise and discerning people, clearly. So, a little self-serving, apologies. But I'm looking around here and I see some familiar faces and I see some new friends out here. And we really do need the new friends to gather more and more new friends. So when on 8 November we show up in Potter County like they've never seen before and take back our state. You can do it. You can decide. Potter County can make a difference in this decisive election that we have. You know, Rebby and I aren't any different than anyone in the room here. You know, we didn't grow up with a silver foot in our mouths or anything. We had to work for a living like everyone else had to. And can I see the hands of the veterans? The veterans, hold it up for a second so I can see you. Wow, fantastic. Thank you for your service. I mean, you fulfilled what Jesus talked about in the Gospel of John. Greater love has no man than this, but to lay down his life for a friend. Amen. And my brothers and sisters that put your hands up, thank you for signing that blank check to your country. You know, the Democrats. No, we won't call them Democrats. Yeah, we all know some Democrats and their family and friends. They're not radicals like the brand we see in the form of Josh Shapiro. The leftists, maybe Bolsheviks. That's dating me, Cold War term. Those leftists. They want to deem anyone who loves this country, who loves this flag, who loves our Constitution as being extreme and dangerous. They do. You know, and actually they're the extremists and they're the danger to our country. We saw the lawlessness in Philadelphia. We saw the shooting after a scrimmage last night at a football game and also a renowned quiet area of the Philly region. And the lawlessness has spread to the suburbs and is spreading across the state, and that's on the watch of our Attorney General, my opponent, Josh Shapiro. He's a complete, utter failure. He's a disaster. We need to throw the bum out. What do you think? But if we are extreme, I think we extremely do love our country. We extremely love our flag. That's right. We extremely believe in these God-given rights that we have. And if that's dangerous to their agenda, then so be it, little Josh, because we're going to smoke you like a bad cigar on 8 November. We saw that chilling, dark speech by Joe Biden. You know, I've never seen or know of a time in American history where the Independence Hall was used in a dark, evil epic with the walls, hellishly red and behind him, and using that as a platform to demonize about half of the American population. And it wasn't just words. We saw this past weekend in Berks County, a Roman Catholic sidewalk counselor, pro-life man, good man, And apparently there was a situation about a year ago when somebody on the other side there started screaming profanities at this man's Mark is his name, at Mark's 12-year-old son, and he's like, "Get away from my son," and pushed the guy. And apparently that resulted in a lawsuit. And the lower court, the second district court, threw it out, said, "Oh, there's nothing here." But that wasn't enough for the feds, who want to label anyone they disagree with as a domestic terrorist. You're a domestic terrorist. It's a sign of domestic terrorism if you fly the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. That's actually on Merrick Garland's watch list. I'm disgusted. My spirit and my heart are grieved by what happened. In Afghanistan, I would help put together target packages on bad guys using multi-source intelligence. And we put together these thorough packets. And when we wanted to take a bad guy and capture them, we would send 30 to 50 special operators to the guy's house or wherever he was. To do that, he'd have to be a known insurgent, heavily armed, and with a reputation and known to have killed Americans or Afghanis. We're talking about a terrorist, a killer. And then we do a night raid with about 30 operators and maybe 12 to 15 vehicles. What happened in Berks County? 30 law enforcement, about 15 vehicles. Are you kidding me? Just because he's a sidewalk counselor, has no criminal record I know of, that's designed to send a signal, right? That's not your average arrest. Normally you'd see just a couple vehicles and discreetly go in and say, "Hey, we're taking you in." Waving weapons. I'm going off this statement of his wife, waving weapons in the faces of him and his kids. And thank God Mark de-escalated it. I do get the stinging impression that Brandon's team wants us to do something stupid. Thank God Mark just I'll do whatever, just tell me what to do, and just kind of complied and was driven off. Let's not do anything stupid, Americans, Pennsylvanians, because let's have the last word. Don't give them an excuse. Let's have the last word on 8 November. Let's resolve this at the ballot box, right? That's where we need to do it. We are a constitutional republic, and I do feel in so many ways that we're on the edge here. And so let's not be provoked. Let's maintain our freedoms and have our voices be heard loud and clear on 8 November. That's how we resolve this. That's, for the veterans in the room, we defended this Constitution in our way of life here, putting our lives on the line. And some of and I'm definitely no hero. I served with heroes, and like many of you, some of those heroes didn't come back with us. And so for their sake, we have to maintain a level head and not be provoked. And so I stand with you, Rebbe, and I stand with you. We're doing this for the same reason why you're here, because of love of country, and that we want to leave this country with the same freedoms to our kids and grandkids as we got it from our moms and dads, right? It's as simple as that. It's really not that hard. Now, we're not getting a lot of love or support from these national, Republican organizations. This is the people's movement, and so that's how we pull it. So for us to be able to make it across the line here. And you can tell I'm no politician. I'm not smooth or clean. I stutter and smash my words together. Sometimes I talk too fast. That's okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Don't have that pretty hair like my opponent. Really jealous about that. Doug, you know what I mean, brother? Beware of Dougs. Two bald Dougs especially. Oh, man. I see you there, partner. Man, I keep threatening Rebbe I'm going to buy a wig one of these days. That'd be a sight for sore eyes. Not really. It make your eyes even hurt more. A toupee, my lord. My Uncle Freddie had a toupee, and he was so classy. Freddie Martino. And he'd get sweaty talking, and in the middle of a conversation, he'd pull up his toupee, pull out a handkerchief, wipe the sweat off his head, and put it back down. It's Uncle Freddie. He was a class act. Yeah, that's the kind of guy you're getting elected here. Just average Joe like everyone else around here. But, what I say I mean, and what I mean I say. We just don't play games here. So when I make these pledges here, my word is my bond. And anyone in the military, knows it's the sort of officers you serve for, that when they say something, they're going to get it done. Millionaires dropping money in and what have you. And in other ways, it's kind of better because this is really a movement of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I hope you see that in Rebbe and I, because that's our heart's desire to represent you. On the other side, of course, you're seeing a lot of ads. And the Democrats are really worried about Pennsylvania. If they thought Pennsylvania was in the bag, they would not be throwing $30 million into my opponent's race. He's already spent He spent upward of 26 million already. That's a lot of money. What are they worried about? They're worried about this right here. You know, we saw that lying hit piece in the New York Times this weekend. Don't read it if you haven't seen it. You know, basically my campaign's sputtering. Are you kidding me? I'm looking around the room here. Josh Shapiro had 2 announcement rallies. You know, one last year, and he announced his run for governor last November in Pittsburgh at the Riverwalk, surrounded by 850,000 people in the city. And you know how many came out for his big rally? 65. We announced in January, as you know, down in Gettysburg Way, and it was, you remember, it was the day after a snowstorm. Some folks up here couldn't make it. I know you guys don't care about snow because it's like nothing for y'all. Anyone north of I-80 are they're tough people, like Rebby. Yeah, Pennsylvania Mason Dixon, I love it. Rebby grew up in Sharon, you know, north of Sharon, there up north of 80, and my first time visiting her when we were dating, it snowed for an entire week. I'm like, man, where am I? Never seen that before. I know that's nothing for you guys. But we announced in Gettysburg the day after a snowstorm, and we had 1,500 people show up. Yeah. So Shapiro wanted to try to do another kickoff campaign, so we did it in Johnstown this past spring. And some of my folks were there, you know, to let me know what was going on. 100 showed up. I'm looking around the room here, and we have twice the amount on his best rally. But under Josh Shapiro, those people lost like my dad. They're losing their lives. They don't have a chance. On Josh Shapiro's watch, we're the 12th highest in homicides in the nation, 8th highest in homicide in overdoses, 4th highest in fentanyl deaths. This community knows about that. And what has Josh Shapiro done trying to stop it? Hasn't lifted a finger. Stood aside, not having the backs of our law enforcement. I mean, it's disgusting. Doesn't care about the sex trafficking going on in our state. You know, all these things really anger me, but that gets under my skin. Rebby helped a young lady in Chambersburg that was locked up in the basement 2 years, kidnapped in her country, brought here, and assaulted for 2 years. We're going to create a sex trafficking task force in Pennsylvania, and that task force, we're going to destroy them, and we're going to go to war against sex traffickers. We're going to crush them. We will. By God, we will. Josh Shapiro thinks it's okay for men to dominate female sports. You know, it's a strange day in Pennsylvania on the floor of the Senate when we're trying to pass this bill to keep boys off the girls' team. I mean, what kind of madness is set in? These are indeed the days where they're calling good evil and evil good. Ripping away 50 years of female achievements and, you know, giving it to guys, setting records. I mean, no kidding. For instance, you know, look at Thomas. Giant person, biological male, giant hands, giant lungs, giant heart, more strength. And that's fair. Ripping away female athletes' opportunities. And there I am on the floor of the Senate, and we need to stop male domination of female sports and patriarchal domination of female sports. I was like, man, I sound like a radical feminist. I stopped in the middle of my speech, looked over to the Democrats. It's exasperating. I'm like, where are the feminists? And they weren't there. It's us. We have to stand for the women now. Because it's not okay for boys to be on the girls' team. It's not okay for boys to be in the girls' bathroom. Disgusting, stupid stuff. It's bad enough when you have other females and bullies in the bathroom. Now you're going to bring boys in there too? I mean, oh my goodness. Josh Shapiro fought hard to make that happen in Pennsylvania, and he wasn't content that he got it to happen in our state, but he also sued Virginia. He went against every parent in Pennsylvania and every parent in Virginia. This time last year, he filed an amicus lawsuit with Virginia to let the boys in the girls' bathrooms. This time last year, remember what happened in Virginia? Loudoun County? It's going to happen. A yet beautiful young lady was raped. Should have never happened. And Josh Shapiro was behind that. He supported it. It's a fact. Facts are stubborn things, as John Adams said, our second president. Then the school board in Loudoun County went about to cover it up. Her dad found out about the cover-up and was a little upset. They went to the school board meeting, and they hauled him out in handcuffs? Are you kidding me? That's going to be life in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. He's too dangerous and too radical for our state. What do you think? Josh Shapiro sued to keep your kids in masks. He sued to keep your business closed down. When you needed him to do his job, he stood against you and in line with the Democrat Party policies of Tom Wolf. When Tom Wolf shut down your businesses, destroyed your cafes, your restaurants, deemed you a non-essential, You notice even all the cabinet shops in Pennsylvania were ordered closed, not essential, except one in York County called Wolf Industries. Are you kidding me? And what did Shapiro do? That's okay. What did Shapiro do when Levine sent the sick back into homes, killing thousands, leaving you cut off from your loved ones for 400 days, or to die alone? God forbid they have Alzheimer's, dying alone and empty. Josh Shapiro didn't care. He went after the homes and not Levine. Anyone miss Levine? Yeah, I don't either. While that's all going on, Josh Shapiro sued the Little Sisters of the Poor. Are you freaking kidding me? Sorry. Are you kidding me? Freaking's okay? Some of our Amish supporters said, Doug, you better watch your language. Now, my veterans know, when you're in the service, sometimes the language is a little crash, a little rough. But I got to be honest with you, as an Army officer, no problem with profanity. I try to be professional in words. I just had somebody cuss me out on the phone there, and all I said is, I'm very disappointed in you, instead of, saying a bad word back to him. He's a pretty powerful person, too. But now, in politics, it's really kind of hard to watch the language, right? It shows the caliber of people we got to deal with. A lot of losers out there, and liars. So my goal for Pennsylvania is to bring some common sense to our state. So on day one, woke is broke in our state. We're going to end it. On day one, there'll be no more teaching our kids to hate each other based off their skin tone, which we got nothing to say about. So critical race theory is over on day one. On day one, no more boys on the girls team. Follow the science. We're going to defend our women athletes and stand with them. On day one, we're going to stand for safety in the schools and no more boys in the girls' bathrooms. Pronoun confusion will end in elementary schools. No more, what's your pronoun would you like today? That's over on day one. No. All the science. No sexualization, no graphic porn in elementary schools. I mean, all this stuff is just so common sense. It's you know what? And I'll be signing into law this beautiful piece of legislation, which is currently mine, but some other senator will have to take it up, which empowers parental rights. That I even have to introduce a bill to strengthen parental rights shows you how low we've gone under Wolf and Shapiro. We need to draw that line in the sand, and you go no further. And in fact, we're done defending land. We're going to retake our freedoms in Pennsylvania. My goal is to make Pennsylvania the Florida of the North. What do you think? This part of the state, my goal is that we're going to do some things here to boom your economy, and it's all hinged upon opening up our energy sector. On day one, we're going to drill and dig like we've never done before. There'll be so much prosperity and opportunity here. Your kids are going to stay here. Your grandkids will want to grow up here. They'll have nice six-figure paying jobs to go to. And meanwhile, you'll be helping make the world safer for democracy by getting our allies over in Europe off of Russian oil and gas. I mean, it's a win-win. We'll take their money, right? Fantastic. We saw what's going on in Italy there with the Giorgina Meloni taking over the government there. And of course, any conservative wins a radical, fascist. It's like, just shut up. Stop it. No, it's okay to love your country. It's not a problem. On day one, we're going to be a law and order state. We're going to have the backs of our men and women in uniform. Our law enforcement will know that Mastriano is looking out for them. There's a little bit of time, and we can go into details. If you want details, it's on my page. Yes, I'll be coming in with a lot of executive orders on day one, but I will codify these in law with the General Assembly. So it's imperative that we re-elect a Republican House and Senate. And so I can make sure these laws are, put on the books here. So after 8 years of Mastriano, these stay in place, right? So that's how we do it. So, in fact, all these one-day initiatives here, I could tell you almost every name in the House and Senate of bill sponsors. For instance, defending female sports, there's a House bill sponsored by Barr Gleim, Representative Don Kiefer, Representative Stephanie Borowitz. Everyone knows Stephanie. I'll sign that into law, or if the Senate version comes by Senator Judy Ward and Senator Kristen Phillips, so I'll sign that version to protect female sports. So just so you know, I won't be ruling by edict, but I do need to come in hard and fast so we set a new tone and culture in Pennsylvania. It changes instantly on day one, and then we codify it constitutionally into law. Just so you know, for those who are strict constitutionalists here, so am I. On day one, we'll no longer be a sanctuary state, Probably 90% of us here are descended from immigrants. Immigrants are welcome to our country. We have a legal way to do that. Illegals are not immigrants. Illegals are illegals. So if Joe Biden thinks he's going to fly in those ghost flights, as he has been, with plane loads of undocumented individuals who've not been vetted or even vaccinated, interesting, only we have to get vaccinated. We'll have, as they pile onto the buses to be transported into the ether, into the countryside, we don't know where they're ending up. We'll have the beautiful Pennsylvania State Police there to escort those buses down to Delaware to Joe Biden's house. You can have them. He spent about 40% of his time as president, according to this report, at his beach house. You remember Donald Trump would go golfing once a month. It's like, he's hardly working. It's okay for their boy, though, to spend 40% of his time as president over at his beach house, falling off of bicycles. Having the bunny rabbit defend him, that was fantastic. I'm like, that's Harvey from Jimmy Stewart's movie. Only us older people know that movie. Sorry, young people. It's a very wholesome, funny movie. It's about an invisible 6-foot-tall rabbit. It's great. The first 100 days are going to roll back regulations right now, and business owners know. But we all pay for it, whether you own a business or not. We have 153,000 state regulations. My goal is the first 100 days to get underneath 100,000. We're going to do it, too, by the way. Yep. And then I look forward to signing into law that House or Senate bill. There's mirror versions where for every new regulation, 2 have to go away. I like that 2 for 1. I love it. Love it. So when those bureaucrats come up from Harrisburg and they repeat the most scary words spoken in English language that Ronald Reagan warned us about in the 80s, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. They will be less powerful and less able to help you, quote unquote. I'll be fighting like heck for school choice, and I believe the money should go with the kids, not to the system. Yep. Our good friend Representative Clint Owlett actually has a bill in the House that I look forward to signing law. It's an Arizona type of school choice. And finally, election reform. We got a long way to go on that. We'll be starting with voter ID. Yep. There you go. And there's a lot more behind that. Go to my page. You can track everything that I have in mind for voting integrity. My heart is broken and this is not hyperbole media. It's true. I've seen more secure elections under the eyes of an international coalition in Afghanistan than in Pennsylvania. It's true. It's true. See me for details. Afghanistan, we require voter ID, by the way. I thought that was racist in Pennsylvania. And we required, ID for the Pashtun, for the Tajiks, for the Hazaras, for the others, the Kazakhs and the Mongols and the others. Then no one cried about that. Yeah, of course you need to have an ID. So we'll start with voter ID and move on down to ensuring that everyone has an equal vote. Whether you're in Potter County or Philadelphia, your voice should be the same, right? Yeah. Right. So Pennsylvania, we have a special place in the history of our nation, and I believe in God's heart as well, because we're founded by somebody who was persecuted for his Christian faith. His name was William Penn. And he ended up in jail several times for his faith, belonged to the wrong church, didn't have the right political ideas. And even on his second imprisonment, King Charles II, wanted to let William go as a favor to William's dad, Admiral Penn, who helped beat back the Dutch during the Anglo-Dutch War. And said, William, I'll let you out of jail early at the Tower of London. Just don't talk about Jesus and join the right church and tone down your political discussion a little bit. And you know what he said? I'd rather die in jail first. Wow. A very humble, not antagonistic kind of guy. Very humble Quaker. And it says in Matthew, if you're faithful in small things, you'll be put in charge of big things, right? In the parable of the talent. Check it out. And just a few years later, thanks to his faithfulness, that was tempting. I bet, I want out of this rotting jail here, stinking in prison. I'm not going to describe it. And he stood on his convictions, and God blessed him with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And with that blessing, with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we have Philadelphia that he founded. And in Philadelphia, in 1776, a new nation was born by somebody who was mocked in the media. They attacked his faith all the time, like today. Like similar, I'm not comparing myself to Penn. Just it's tragic and sad to watch after the 200 and plus years of religious freedom we've had and respect we've had in Pennsylvania, United States, has been an anomaly as far as respecting people's religious beliefs. It's been an anomaly in history. We're seeing a time now where it's okay to attack certain faith groups. And that's why I made it clear and known to the media when we won that beautiful primary in May that any reporter who peddles in hate and bigotry against anyone's religion, we won't talk to. And it's a darn, some of them got the message, others just don't quite get it. Yep. It's not okay. We can disagree and have a robust debate, but it should not come to ad hominem attacks because you don't like what I do or don't believe. And I fought just as every veteran. I see some Marine Corps veteran here. We got Army, Navy, Marine, Air Force, maybe a Coast Guardsman or two. What you fought for was to defend your right to believe whatever you wanted to. And that's the idea of William Penn. You come to Pennsylvania, now America, and you live your life as you see fit and not as a governor or king or magistrate thinks you ought to live. And so we are at a crossroads between the tyranny of Tom Wolfe / Josh Shapiro or a new birth of freedom under Governor Mastriano. This is no game for me. Those are some pretty lofty words here, but I mean it. I'm looking as many of you in the eye as I can. We're going to restore freedom to Pennsylvania. My goal is to fulfill the vision and dream that Abraham Lincoln gave in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is writ large in our nation's history. After that horrific battle, Abraham Lincoln came and gave his speech in my district, and no, I wasn't alive then. Not that old. But he talked about our history 7 years ago, 1776. And then remember our fallen, those who gave the last full measure of devotion, and we remember them. But Lincoln, in his speech, kind of turns a little bit. And he says, okay, now I'm adding this. Rather it is for us. Rather it is for us, the living, to be dedicated to the unfinished work. A republic, if you can keep it, Benjamin Franklin, 1787, Philadelphia. A republic, if you can keep it. Rather it is for us, 1863. Rather it is for us, the living, to be dedicated to the unfinished work. So what happens on 8 November is in our hands. And success and failure hinges upon your decision, your ability to help us, to volunteer, to donate if you can, and don't let that be between donating and eating or paying your bills. No, you take care of yourselves first. Or getting out and vote and having others get out to vote. It's in the hands of Potter County. It's not just on our shoulders, it's on each of our shoulders, because you get to pick your governor. And we choose wisely in November. It's going to be a new day in PA. We're going to see a restoration of prosperity and hope across our state, and I believe that will change the course and trajectory of American history. Thank you guys, and God bless you.